This is the NBA on NBC.
When that old NBC logo first swirled across the screen in 1990, it wasn't just a change in networks, it was an aesthetic coup. The NBA of the 80s, the League of Magic and Bird, was great, but on television, it was often a grainy, tape-delayed, regional affair. It still had a bit of a basement vibe. NBC didn't see a sport, they saw a feature film. And they had their superstar protagonist already waiting. Look, we all know the rule. Michael Jordan is the greatest player ever. That is a consensus Mount Rushmore take. But the dirty secret is, he wouldn't be this immortal without the NBC engineering the whole myth. When the NBC paid the $600 million for the rights, they weren't just buying games. They were buying potential. And they hired a creative team ready to realize it. Enter John Tesh, his team Roundball Rock. Wasn't just a song, it was a mission statement. It had urgency, sophistication, and a cinematic sweep that felt less like the sports and more like an epic score. It was the moment the NBA put on a tuxedo. This wasn't just an upgrade, it was a rebranding of American Sundays. They replaced the old, cluttered graphics with clean, modern visuals. They used more slow motion, richer colors, and tighter close-ups. They didn't just show the dunk, they showed the sweat, the intensity, the glare in Jordan's eyes. NBC turned the NBA into must-see appointment television. They made the game feel like the most important thing happening in the world right then. You don't just put the greatest player of all time on TV, you build a cathedral around him. NBC took Michael Jordan's greatness and treated it like Hollywood royalty. Every game was a new chapter. Marv Albert wasn't calling a foul, he was delivering a dramatic proclamation. Bob Costas wasn't giving a recap, he was performing an elegy. The NBA didn't just grow because of Jordan. Jordan became the GOAT because NBC created the perfect myth-making platform for him. Look, the 90s have no internet, so if a sports league didn't have a theme song, sounded like a Top Gun trailer, how could we possibly process its cultural relevance? The 90s was the decade of the brand, and NBC's production was a perfect amplifier. Think about the sheer cultural density around the Bulls dynasty. You had the team Jordan, Pippen, Rodman performing weekly on the grandest stage. Then became the celebrity courtside spectacle. NBC cameras would cut to Spike Lee, Jack Nicholson, or President Clinton, or Denzel Washington. This was a filler. It was an unspoken statement. If you're not watching this, you're missing the cultural zeitgeist. The NBA became the cool current flowing through every part of the pop culture. The music, the fashion, the movies. Space Jam isn't a phenomenon without the NBC machine making Jordan a global multimedia protagonist. The network and the star weren't just aligned. They were in a cultural feedback loop that made both indispensable. NBC took the NBA's energy and made it telegenic. That is the genius of it. The entire era was engineered for drama. And the end, the second repeat, the 1998 finals, was the perfect cinematic climax. It is about how NBC covered The Last Dance. You hear the call, Jordan, open, good. The Bulls led by 1. It is Bob Costas at his most iconic, but the shot itself, the way camera tracks Jordan's hang time, the split second of silence before the ball drops, that was NBC's framing. They understood that a great story needs a great ending. And when that legendary NBC logo faded to black after the 1998 season, it didn't just feel like the end of the dynasty, it felt like the end of the decade. We weren't just sad the Bulls were done, we were mourning the loss of the presentation. For a generation, the NBA wasn't a league, it was an event. Bob Costas gave us the gravitas, he gave us the poetry, Marv Albert gave us the raw explosion. Every broadcast was a perfectly crafted highlight reel of the decade. And when Jordan cried holding that trophy in '96, it wasn't just an athlete's emotion. NBC made it feel like the final moving scene of a truly great saga. They didn't just show Jordan's career, they scripted his immortality. Almost 3 decades later, NBA returns to NBC. And the circle is complete because Michael Jordan himself joins the broadcast partnership. It is almost too perfect. The man who was elevated to myth by the network is now part of the structure that will elevate the next generation. But here's the key difference. The new era won't be a simple repetition. You can't capture the lightning in a bottle that was the 1990s. The culture is different, the media is fragmented, and the NBA is already a global behemoth. This new run on NBC is an homage. It is the network recognizing its history and leveraging the power and nostalgia to connect with an old audience and capture a new one. When Roundball Rock plays again this season, and you know it will, it won't be a nostalgia for the past. It will be a sound of the greatest partnership in sports television history, acknowledging its own power. Because if basketball has a permanent soundtrack, it is that piano intro, it is that soaring brass, it is Roundball Rock. And that is the sound of the stage being set once again for greatness.